Hello and welcome to A5 Evening, an all-party roundup. For joining us for this, the March show. I am Grant of Broken Synapse Press, a small third-party publisher for A5E supplements, and A5E narrator, and one of the datamancers of the A5E unofficial data sheet.
I'm Allie. I'm one of Grant's players, and I'm here and always excited to learn more about A5E.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm one of the also Datamancers, compendium maker in progress, and narrator in progress, and writer in progress. It's a lot of progress.
I mean, that's all right. And joining us tonight, all the way from the UK, Russ, Morrissey, if you would like to
Hello.
introduce yourself just a little bit.
Hi, so I am Russ, aka Morrus, or Morrus, aka Russ. I'm the CEO of EN Publishing, a small first-party creator of Level Up A5E. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it. I'm excited. I
Glad
hope you
to,
don't mind. I hope you don't mind that there are two dogs here as well. But
pets are always welcome on A5 Evening.
excellent, excellent.
I got 200 pounds of dog sitting right in front of me, and I just hope they don't make me anymore. So we are lucky to have Russ here. Like he said, he is the EN Publishing, the bringers to us of Level Up Advanced Fifth Edition, which is why we're all here. He is the biggest name we've had so far, I guess, from the first party
Hmm.
space. Last time we had Mike Myler was our
Hmm.
last guest. And I know he does some official work as well as some third-party work for.
Yeah, Mike runs Insider, which is our D&D 5e monthly magazine.
So we have you on because you are launching Alpha Star issue 2 here pretty shortly, as well as a bunch of any other things you would like to talk about.
I have no secrets. You can ask anything you like.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you for being a good sport. So
Perfect.
we'll have Allie take over a
Yeah,
little bit for
so
this.
I would love if you could just give us kind of an overview of the Alpha Star, just to begin with.
Yeah, sure. So, I don't know if you remember that, but I think it was last year or the year before we had a Kickstarter for the Void Runners Codex. It's actually scary that I can't remember when that was. You know how all the months just blend into one and you've got no idea how, because we were working on it for so many years. And at some point in that period of time, there was a Kickstarter, but I can't place that. It just recedes back into my past as far as I can remember right now. But we did the Void Runners Codex, which was a big box set for sci-fi in A5E, Level Up Advanced 5th Edition, and compatible with D&D 5th Edition. And that big old box set had two hardcover books, it had an adventure, it had a box full of maps and tokens and stuff. It was brilliant. I love it. I've got one on my shelf behind me, actually. So Alpha Star magazine, and this is going to be the second issue of that, is basically how we're supporting that line. So it's similar in concept to Insider and to the Gate Pass Gazette.
And we
Pretty
very
much exactly the same.
right.
Yeah.
We
It's
very
the same. It's the
briefly,
same.
yeah,
Yeah.
covered eight that because that's for sure. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of coming out monthly like those two, it comes out quarterly because obviously sci-fi D&D is a smaller market than fantasy is, always has been, always will be. So this is the second issue. So the first issue came out late last year, I want to say. Again, I can't remember. My mind is a muddle. I think it was late last year. And
Alpha
oh
Star.
yeah,
Or
Alpha
Alpha
Star
Star,
issue one
sorry.
was late last year. So this is going to
I'm
be
looking at my
number
notes for
two.
that later.
Yeah, yeah. So unlike those ones, we do those on Patreon, and then they come out monthly, and then we do like a hardcover compilation at the end of each year. This one is quarterly, and we're just doing it via Backer Kit rather than Patreon. So that is launching like imminently, I want to say, like in the next couple of weeks.
And
It
we
might
will
be
have
delayed a little bit because I'm still editing the articles right now, and
understandable. We'll have
that's
the
really hard to do when you've got a dog on your lap.
it
Yeah.
would be. We'll have
I say
the
I
link for
just
that in the
checked
show
it
notes.
today, the backer kit for the link, and it says 9 days. So, like you said, probably within the next couple of weeks once you get everything
Yeah, it might get
editorial.
delayed a bit. It might get delayed a bit because I haven't finished editing them yet. So I'm still in
Understandable.
that process. Yes, so I'm excited. I'm excited because like sci-fi has always been my first love. I mean, I love D&D, don't get me wrong, but even more than D&D and fantasy, I love sci-fi. So the when you got a Venn diagram of D&D and sci-fi, and you smush them together. I'm right in that center point. So basically, D&D powered sci-fi is just my jam. I just love it.
Okay, so then with that, is there like a favorite part or something you're really excited about in this issue that's coming up?
So we got 4 articles, one of which I'm writing, which is going to be a new heritage. I did a new heritage in the first one, which was the Felans, which were the sort of cat people, space cat people. Then we've also got an article which is all about scrap and equipment and putting things together from different bits of equipment. We've got an adventure called One Chap's Scrap, which sounds kind of fun. So we've got an article called Hokey Religions, which is basically a backgrounds and things like that, just to sort of, sort of like Jedi-esque stuff, that sort of thing. So that sort of thing. So it's going to be jam-packed for the stuff. I'm really excited about it.
That going to really focus on like the Cyanite or as the class? Is it good? Or
It's gonna dip into. It's gonna dip into. So
Okay.
it's a broader spectrum thing than that. It's not literally just focusing on the psionic classes, but it's a broader spectrum thing with backgrounds and stuff like that.
Perfect.
And then the heritage, I've actually got a couple which I haven't fully decided which is going to go in there yet. And I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me decide. I don't know.
Yeah, what are our options?
So one choice is the Boreans, which is a species of short space dwarves. Basically, they all live around a massive gas giant, which has like 40 plus moons, and they live on those moons around the gas giant, and they've kind of like colonized and terraformed all of those moons. So there's loads and loads of moons around this gas giant, and in the sky is dominated by this enormous gas giant like Jupiter, and they live on all these different moons, and they're basically dwarves, very technologically inclined, and do a lot of mining and engineering and stuff like that. So that's option number one.
Okay.
And the option number two is the Vendelierians, and these guys are sort of, I guess, kind of a mix between the Minbari from Babylon 5
Okay.
and Vulcans from Star Trek
Sure.
with a bit of elf in there, I guess, maybe. I mean,
Well,
they're
the
all space elves
Minbari
anyway.
lend themselves to that a bit. So
Yeah. And they're very psionic. They're all into their psionic stuff, and they've got their psionic history, and they've got psionic equipment and devices and things like that. And psionics are kind of interwoven into their society. So it's going to be one of those two. I haven't chosen which, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I kind of like the gas giant dwarf.
You like
Yeah,
that one?
I've got a player that
Very
is yelling "Space Dwarf" in my ear
Fine.
from far away.
Done. All right. You've made the decision. That's what it is. That is.
Happy to help.
It's going to be the Boreans. Okay, fantastic.
Problem solved.
It's just a very evocative image. Them living on 40 different moons with the.
I know. I love it. I love it.
It is really cool, and I'm kind of thinking about like, once they get done with the moons, there's the gas giant. You can do plenty with gas, and that would be a very cool thing for a player to
Oh yeah, they
want
definitely
to do.
mine the giant as well.
Yeah.
Mine the gas off the giant and stuff like that. So they
Adventures,
do a lot of that too.
player backstory. It already sounds like so many ideas right there, ready to go.
Yeah. Right. It's done. Sorted. You've decided for me. We're going to do that.
All right. Wonderful.
Any other questions from Jen or Grant?
So I am much more of a, I guess we'll call it historical fantasy kind of nerd. I did, some sci-fi, but not a lot to consider myself super excited. Although I did back Void Runners because I love most or pretty much everything you guys do, so I'm always happy to support. And I was going through Void Runners actually this past week, working on my campaign's Fantasy Grounds compendium. So I was getting really into it, and I convinced a couple friends to go do a different space one shot. Now I got really excited. I played a very short ill-fated Starfighter campaign once upon a time.
Oh yeah.
And so the question kind of really is, what were your inspirations on what you decided to put into Void Runners versus what other systems have? Because I see there's Star Trek behind you, and
yeah, I'm a big Star Trek nerd. I really love Star Trek.
Yeah, Starfinder's always the elephant in the room, and sci-fi is having not necessarily huge resurgence, but things are starting to come back. Dune Part 3 is somewhere in the ether, etc. So, like, what were your biggest inspirations for what you wanted to put into Void Runners, both mechanically and flavorful wise?
So 100% Star Trek, as you've identified, and Star Wars are, big, really massive influences. And also games like Traveller, which I've got, again, like 2 or 3 versions of behind me. And I haven't played a massive amount of Traveller, but I've played a bit of it over the years. And I've always really enjoyed that kind of space scoundrel trading vibe, where everyone's just trying to get by from week to week, just making a bit of money and just surviving and that sort of thing. So a bit of that, but I think the biggest things were definitely, and I think if you look at Void Runner, it's kind of obvious, to be honest. I don't think we hit it very well.
Yeah, the psionics is like pure Jedi, so I get it.
Yeah, and then we've got a pseudo Wookiee in there, haven't we? And we've got things like that. So yeah, it is very much Star Trek, Star Wars, and a massive smooshing together of those two kind of space opera flavors.
Is there a sci-fi science fantasy property that you would love to file the serial numbers off of and put into a future Alpha Star or another book that you guys might possibly pick up in the future?
I mean, that's always going to be Star Trek, but obviously Modiphius have have that one right now, so we can't really do that. So Star Trek would always be the number one, definitely, without a doubt. I've got a controversial opinion on Dune because I do not like Dune at all.
You're not.
I'm not the only person in the world that doesn't like it.
Right,
me either. You're fine.
It's like I went to see the first Dune film with my brother and my dad, and I sat there for like 48 hours or however long it is, watching some people wandering around sand dunes, having these weird psychedelic trips and stuff, and just thought, "Oh my God, will this thing ever end?" And so yeah, I'm not the biggest Dune fan, and also like Star Wars has enough desert planets. We don't need more. We don't need more desert planets, do we? What was the question again? I've gone off track.
Sorry, what other sci-fi science fantasy properties would you love to scrape the serial numbers off of and bring into some sort of adaptation or rules variant?
And
one thing I would quite
the Minbari, so I know Babylon 5.
Babylon 5's in there.
Yeah,
Babylon 5
5
is. Yeah, Babylon 5 is definitely in there. I think you'll spot bits of Doctor Who if you look carefully. That's definitely a big influence on me. Another one that I mean, it's a totally different genre though. Red Dwarf, which is obviously comedy rather than sort of serious sci-fi. I kind of feel like I'd like to do that. I don't know whether it lends itself to a long campaign. It's more for one fun shots, I guess. But I think that would be a really fun one. I don't think there has been a Red Dwarf RPG like in the early 2000s, I think it was.
Yeah,
and I can't remember who did it, and it didn't last long. But I don't think that anyone's doing anything with it right now, so maybe I should look into that. Maybe
adventures in Game Pass Gazette. Maybe that would be a good way to kind of
if they are just a stealthy, absolutely.
And that is one thing I hear or I've seen people being like, and even at tables I played, is there like a pre-written adventure we could throw out there for not just Void Runners but even A5E or something? Because sometimes I don't have the brain power to throw something together.
Yeah.
So like Spaceball's the one shot.
Yeah, and I always find like if you're doing a one shot and you're unprepared, having a silly game, I always find is much easier to run as well because people will just go along with it, and if you make mistakes, it's funny rather than So it's just easier just to roll with a silly game than
a silly game, locked room trope, like kind of you're stuck in the house. I've had success with haunted houses before, so it makes sense. And like I said, Spaceball's a one shot. You're going and actually stealing the plans for the Death Star. Any Red Dwarf would be all probably really good small adventures and one shots. Which
yeah. I think that would be fun.
Adventures.
I hadn't really thought about that until you asked that. So I'm gonna. I don't know. I'll think about it some more. More.
Just one small credit. That's all I'm looking for. I'm
just coming onto this podcast and just getting told lots of things to make, and I'm just going away going, yeah, I'll do that now. Okay.
So Backer Kit, because I was just curious as to why Backer Kit. I know you did the first Alpha Star on Backer Kit, but I know you have been doing a lot of Kickstarters. Are you just is this part of the split, or?
It's kind of because we do so many Kickstarters that we're kind of like they're all watching up and banging up against each other, and we need a bit of space, and Backer Kit gives us a bit of breathing room just to just to have them running separately. So
Okay.
our kind of thought at the moment is the magazine stuff. So Gate Pass Gazette's on there now, annuals,
annuals.
yeah. And then we'll put Alpha Star on there as well. So we're thinking we'll do the smaller magazine stuff over on there, and then the big sort of like we got a big A5E thing coming out October-ish or something on Kickstarter. That sort of thing we'll do on Kickstarter. And also because Kickstarter, you generally do better on Kickstarter than, at least
Yep.
at the moment, than on
That's just what that was part of my curiosity is because
Yeah, I mean, It's getting better though.
although yeah, I
It's
mean
like,
Mike, we'll talk about it here in a minute or two, but Mike Myler's latest project did pretty well on BackerKit. So
yeah.
And it does feel
And
like most
people are like,
fulfillment goes over to BackerKit in some capacity anyway, so it probably
yeah,
just
oh
saves you
yeah, yeah.
guys a little effort for the magazines.
Yeah, people like Monty Cook and MCDM are killing it over on BackerKit. They're doing multi-million-dollar campaigns, like sequential ones, loads of them. And BackerKit's definitely got the audience there these days. He didn't have a few years ago, but now it's solid.
because it's EN Publishing, I know we can expect fulfillment immediately after the campaign ends.
Yep, that's what we do. Yep.
That's what you do, and you've kind of spoiled everybody for it, so it's everybody.
Yeah, well, I've noticed that's really common these days, though. But I do think we were the first
I
ones
think
that
you might
started doing
be.
that regularly. I think we were, but
Yeah,
yeah.
you guys
As far
are.
as being a trendsetter, that's a pretty good one. That's a very satisfying one.
What do you know? What do you know? It makes sense because if you are doing a lot of crowdfunders, the last thing you want is to be still fulfilling the last one while you're trying to promote the next one.
Yeah,
People and also people don't like that. If they haven't gotten their previous one and you're still trying to sell them the next one, they don't like that at all.
no,
So
and they'll let you know
it's a
it too.
pragmatic thing.
Any last words on anything coming up, or still on Alpha Star?
Right, I mean, do you want to know about Secrets of the Tome? I can talk a bit about that.
Yeah, we could. That's the October
Sure.
book, yes.
Yeah. So this is sort of Arcana, our magic themed book. So it's a big hardcover book. It's being spearheaded by Paul Hughes, who's done most of our monster books, did Dungeon Delvers guide and things like that. So we know we're in safe hands there. He knows what he's doing. So this is a big book containing all sorts of stuff for characters who use magic, basically. So it's got archetypes, it's got feats, it's got magic items. It's basically crammed full of all that stuff. Yeah. Oh, spells, obviously. Yeah, spells. Yeah. Spells too. Yeah. So yeah, it's a whole hardcover book. So if you're playing a magic using character, whether it's a divine one or an arcane one, this book is going to be for you. And then next year, possibly, it's not actually slated yet, but we might follow it up with like the Marshall equivalent of that. As in, yeah.
Hear it here
So
first, folks. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the plan. Yeah. I've only
Penciling 2027 year for me.
yeah. So you haven't actually seen the manuscripts for this yet. I know that Paul is working hard on it. I know that he's recruited a number of people also to help him with it. And the manuscripts are only just starting to come into the Google Drive, so I haven't actually had a chance to look at them closely yet. So I'm excited. This week, I'm going to be looking at some of those, and I'm excited about that.
Very cool. It'll be a good year for magic stuff for A5E.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, as always happens, as soon as we announced it, Wizards of the Coast came along and just announced they're doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I saw.
Everything we do, I don't understand.
Again, trendsetter.
Yeah, but hey, what can you do?
That was actually when they were playtesting what is now 5.5. I was, go through it and I'm like, wait, A5E was doing this, A5E was doing that. Why are I'm like, at this point, I'm just going to move everyone over.
Yeah, so it was 2021. So we announced we were doing A5E, and we were doing all those big play tests and stuff like that in the year leading up to it. And then, of course, suddenly, Wizards of the Coast announces D&D 2024. Like, of course they did.
Gotta check your room for bugs, man.
Yeah. No, I'm not so arrogant to think that they pay any attention whatsoever to what we do. It's just we just seem to have the worst luck with that sort of thing.
But it also shows you guys have some of the best ideas because essentially, like I said, what you've announced, Wizards is like, I like it. Let me take it. And you get, for better or worse, you guys still do it better, despite the fact they get all the popularity for it.
Yeah,
But
I think so. But
We're,
thank
we're
you.
doing our best to try and make it a more popular system. So.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, there's so many of us making 5e variants now. There's
Yeah,
loads
I
of
mean,
them.
5e
Loads
is
of them
the
out there.
game now. It doesn't nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong to anybody now. It's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people sort of lump A5E in with all of those posts, the OGL crisis that happened a couple of years ago, 2023. And a
yeah.
whole load of 5e variants came out of that. And a
you,
lot of people kind
you
of
were
lump us in
first
with
though.
those, but we were doing this 2 years before
You
that
were
were
you guys
2
are
years
crisis.
first.
before that.
Again, you were first.
Yeah, yeah, it had nothing to do with the crisis. Luckily we were there first, I
That's
guess.
it. You got your hooks into me right away. So
Well, I think we're probably the most supported of all of them in terms of first party and third party stuff, at least at present. Like we've got how
it,
many hardcover books? Like a dozen or more than
Jen
that.
and I should know this off the top of
Say
our
at
head,
least,
but
and not even including the annuals. That's let's see, because I've got both Monster Menageries, Pets and
Mm,
Sidekicks, Adventurer's Guide. I don't think I have Trials and Treasures.
no, I
mm.
Um,
do.
and I haven't done my annuals in hardcover yet because I am putting it off for a very long time. Um, it's a lot. It's a nice shelf.
Yeah, and then the third party support, like from people like you guys, is amazing as well. Like we've got over 200 things on Drive Through RPG now. I think if you look at the category, there's so much
It's
stuff
so
on there. It's
much, and we,
amazing.
we all talk to each other, and we're all. It's just
Yeah, my
so
only problem is there's too much of it for me to even read it all now. There's so much of it.
yeah.
Not It's not a complaint. It's an amazing thing, but there's so much of it on there now
Well, and that's
that
good of
I've
you
kind of
all
fallen
for like
behind on it all.
it's the most open system, and I gotta
Yeah.
applaud
Yeah.
it for that
Well,
because that is
we've got the biggest SRD on the
yes.
planet out there,
Hmm?
like 5e or otherwise. There is no
Yeah.
SRD that comes close to the size of our one.
Yeah.
And it's continually expanding because you guys put it out, you update it every so often. I can't remember if there's an exact time frame, but
No, it's just
you're committed to
when we
doing
have the
that.
time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
You're
at the moment,
committed
it's
to
me
opening
doing it
everything.
personally, so and I'm pretty stacked with
I was
stuff to do right now. So
I'm sure.
your
yeah.
schedule that you've already put out in so far, I'm like, I don't even know how you have time.
Well, luckily, Paul Hughes was doing that up until recently. Of course, Paul now works for MCDM. Just got a
Yeah.
wonderful job over at MCDM, so that's amazing, amazing for Paul. But he was heading up the SRD stuff. So at the moment, I'm going to try and fill in the gap now until we figure out what we're doing longer term.
Well, thanks for
Because I just needed
thanks
another
for keeping
job.
us
I was like,
updated on
I'm just not busy enough. I
Hey,
just need
well,
more
you know.
work. Yeah.
Right. Well, did you want to stick around for the rest of the show, or do you need to get going?
Oh, I can if you like. I'm happy
Okay,
to do
perfect.
whatever works
Good
for
to have
you.
you.
Whatever
Yeah,
works.
sure.
We have some questions
Ooh.
from loyal fans. So my first one is actually from me. Let's be real. It's me. I'm the public. So one of the tools you guys have been putting out is Gateway, which has been amazing, and I've thrown other people at it because that was one of the first things I heard was, why don't they have a D&D Beyond? And I was like,
Hmm.
it's a small company, let them work. They're cooking on it. But it's been coming out along really well. And the question really is, are there plans to open up the VTT experience to, there's so many VTTs out there. So there's Roll20, there's Demiplane connected to Roll20, Foundry, Shard, Fantasy Grounds, etc. Are there plans to sort of open up to either a volunteer army to help you build things or in any official connectivity with VTTs in the
So I wouldn't
future?
say plans, more a wish list at this stage, because we still haven't got all of the Adventurer's Guide stuff up on there yet. So it's,
Okay.
it's in the future. So we have a wish list of stuff we'd like to do.
Okay.
I wouldn't say anything is planned beyond that at the moment because we're just trying to get this first thing done, get it to a fully functional system with all of the Adventurer's Guide, and then see where we are, and then take stock, and then work out what we're going to do next. But there is a wish list. And that is on there. There's loads of stuff on the wish list. Loads of stuff. We've got an actual VTT, which we'd love to integrate into it, which would be amazing. Probably a kind of simple one, not like a fully fledged one, but a simple one. We would love to have people able to add custom stuff. I mean, you can a little bit at the moment, but the difficulty with that is a lot of the custom stuff needs to be coded.
Mhm.
especially if you wanted to interact with other things on the system or change the
Right.
character sheet or whatever. And that basically means either we have to code it for people, or
It
or
has to
people
be
have
easy
to
enough
learn how
for.
to code,
Yeah.
And so it's not just like if you're making a PDF, you can just upload it to Drive Through RPG and it's there and people can download it. But
Yes.
for some stuff, you've got to actually code it, which makes it a technological kind of barrier, which we want to get around. We want to figure out how to do it, and it might just mean making like lots of wizards for, like wizards as in that takes you through the
The
steps.
like character mancers or something, and just
Yeah,
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 yeah.
for different
Because
things.
I for part not part of, but I follow the Foundry team on
Yeah,
Discord, and I'm friends with Riley Johnson, who's written for Gate Pass Gazette and has been working on fixing the character sheet in Roll20. And
yeah,
I've
yeah.
been part of working with that, and it's been a very good job so far. But that was the thing, was like it would be so much easier if it was all wizards. You can
Mm,
automatically
yeah.
upload
I mean,
compendia,
that's
and
that's the wish list. That's the wish list, basically. That's the
yeah,
dream. That's the dream. That's where we'd like to
I
be.
know. I'm like, I would love to practice it, but
Yeah.
Roll20, which is my stone in my shoe,
Mm.
is hard enough to make a compendium to practice with. But
Yeah. I mean, if you look at D&D Beyond, which is the sort of obvious direct
yeah,
comparison, when it was sold to Wizards, that was for 100, I think it was $140 million.
it was huge.
That's $140 million platform there.
Yeah,
So we're trying to make the equivalent of $140 million platform with
Not Matt.
15 bucks and
Yeah.
a
that was
shoestring.
it. Yeah,
It's,
like 15 wishes and $1.
Yeah.
yes, we don't have $150 million. I mean,
And that makes it more impressive, is that Gateway is looking as well as it is and works as well as it does. There's bugs, but that's
it's
expected.
gorgeous, isn't it? I mean, I
But
can't take credit for that. I can't code to save my life, but Alec, the chap who's doing that, it's just such an amazing job. Like
it
everything
is.
he does goes beyond my expectation.
And then you guys, like Grant was saying, this is such a good system between third party
Mm,
and whatnot. You have all these people that are always like, I would love to do more to help. That's kind of a really nice thing, is that everyone wants to see this succeed, no matter
yeah,
which platform you guys are working on. So I was just curious
yeah.
if there's wishes are good. I like wishes.
Yeah, I mean there is a little bit of news with Gateway in the Alec because you've only got the one coder working on it. Alec is currently having a baby, not himself, obviously his wife, but they're having a baby, so that's why you haven't seen many updates on, because obviously
Oh
family
yeah,
comes first. That's far more
there's
important.
yeah.
And you
But
had
we'll
mentioned
get
that.
back to it.
Yeah.
We'll get back to it.
All right, my second question is, and I do know there's a little bit of expansion this past Gate Pass Gazette from Theo. Are there any ideas or plans for expanding upon the settings that you guys have put out so far? So LSR, War of the Burning Sky, even Zeitgeist, or maybe doing that in a space word fashion, like you mentioned with the adventures, but fleshing out planets a little bit, bringing in, scrubbing the serial numbers off of xenomorphs, things like that.
So
Anything about setting wise and lore
So I
wise that
don't,
you
don't know
guys
if
are
you
going to
guys are
expand?
familiar with the What's Old is New game that we also publish. So this was something I wrote back in 2015 or something, 2016, I think it was. And we basically did exactly that.
Okay.
If you go and look at this, we've got a Xenomorphs adventure. We've got a Buffy-esque adventure. We've got a Star Trek one, not with all the serial number, and we got like 12 of them, I think, which are kind of like mini setting adventure books. And I would love to start doing that with
Okay.
A5E. I think that would be
Yeah,
amazing fun. And I think that could work really well.
that'd be
Um, as
amazing.
far as War of the Burning Sky and Zeitgeist, I know Ryan Nock, who wrote both of those adventure paths, wants to do more with those.
Oh, nice.
And he has pitched a couple of adventures for Zeitgeist, which I've got to get back to him about.
That was my first
So
A5E exposure. I would love to go back and learn more.
I love the Zeitgeist. Have you played the adventure path, the
Yes,
full?
we got probably about two-thirds of the way through. Scheduling
Yeah.
issues started happening, so we
Yeah.
condensed that last bit, but it was really fun. And we obviously tweak things here and there, but
Yeah, yeah.
it again, I was a historical fantasy, so it kind of started fitting that steampunk bit that I like. It was very interesting and grabbing. Once you got past like the first set of the investigations,
Yeah.
but when the plot really grips you.
Oh,
So
I
that's it.
love that adventure path. So honestly, I mean, I'm biased. Obviously, I published it, but I honestly think it's the best adventure path I've ever seen in my life. To this
It
day,
is
I just love it so
top
much.
probably top five for me of what I've been playing
Yeah,
in.
yeah. I kind of compare it to the Cthulhu one, Masks of Niani 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 Lethatop thing. What's it? How do you say that word? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not familiar with that one, but
So yeah, hopefully more stuff in Zeitgeist, and I would love to see more stuff in War of the Burning Sky as well. Maybe an adventure set after it. I know that Ryan did pitch me one, and this is years ago, which was a wedding set right at the end of War of the Burning Sky. Between I've forgotten the elf princess's name now. I forget between her and Randall, who was one of the NPCs.
it's of course escaping my brain.
Yeah, yeah, it's ages ago. It's ages ago, but yeah, that sounded like fun. So yeah, it's all possible. It's all possible.
And then our third question, and you're talking about the tome book is kind of part of it. Next year with Marshall's question from
Hmm.
Jesse Mullins of Plant Witch Press: is there a chance for A5E getting things like the Advanced Player's Guide for certain classes? So like, hey, you're new to the system. Let's give you the guide on how to play a fight. To play a fighter or build a fighter, things like that. Maybe in smaller,
So
not
I'm
maybe not
kind of
quite Gate Pass Gazette, but similar.
working on one of those for 5e at the moment,
Yeah.
coincidentally, which was based on the Complete Fighter from Wizards of the Coast years ago, and then Mongoose Publishing did the Quintessential Fighter, which was their version of that. So this is going to kind of be the same sort of concept. It's for 5e rather than
Yeah.
A5e, though. So I haven't really thought about doing an A5e. They'd be quite similar. I
They would
mean,
Yeah.
probably be
yeah,
compatible. Yeah.
yeah. So I'll
Except
think
instead of
about
writing
whether or
Action
not.
Surge, it's just combat
Yeah,
maneuvers.
yeah, basically. So yeah, I'd quite like to make that work well with both. I'll see whether that's viable or not. I'm not 100% sure at this stage. It's the archetypes will be more difficult as well.
Yeah, I know probably at least amongst our section of the third party community, we're all like,
Mm,
that would be the coolest thing and love to like, do what we
yeah,
can.
yeah. Also, that's the sort of thing that I think like third parties could do really, really well as well, like guidebooks. And I think they'd be really good sellers as well. I think if someone came out with those and did one for each class, I think they'd sell really well.
I think I heard the sound of 1,000 cries for joy.
Mm,
All right, that is it from the audience questions. I think we
Okay.
are available for the mimic moment. Am I correct, Grant?
that's right. Our third party
Brought to
roundup.
us by MiMo,
Aw.
the mimic.
Oh, that's amazing.
He's adorable. I will die for him. So as we were talking earlier about Mike Myler's backer kit, so kind of an update on that. It did end February 13th, and it raised nearly $7,500,
Wow.
and it had over 200 backers. So in the stretch goals that were met were Foundry VTT support and 3 archetype books. One was the superheroic archetypes, which were mostly reprints from earlier Gate Pass Gazette issues. So always appreciate kind of having the, thank you Taylor Swift for Taylor's version of everything. Now we're going to get writers' versions of everything. A set of Die Hard, but no pain, no gains archetypes, synergy feats, magic items, and archetypes that tempt fate and deal with a luck mechanic or luck rolls. And the PDFs were sent out, I believe, like the 15th of February. I had all my copies, and the data gremlins are hard at work putting it on the spreadsheet.
Just remember that
And
it's a very big book with a lot of stretch goals, so we are doing our best to get that all on the data sheet. So please bear with us as
yes,
we're trying.
it is massive. I put it all on Fantasy Grounds, and I sat and I cried for a second in relief that my hands could stop typing. And then physical rewards should start being sent out. I think I got my email today confirming that they charged my card to start sending out my softcover book. So hopefully we get those soon. Also in the third party space, we had 2 notable releases on drive through this month, or between February and March. The first is a mechanic supplement called the Shadow Shards. by Tenebrous Circle Press. And it's a different type of corruption mechanic based off of like more or less a cursed item or a deal. But you get a gift and a curse with these shards, and they kind of go more on, corruption isn't fully bad. You sometimes can get something out of it. Warlock powers. You sign a deal, you get powers. Sometimes you don't get to role play downsides sort of situation on a much smaller scale. And it did come with the Foundry VTT module. Second notable third-party release from Variant Codex Press, Jim Temple, friend of the show, just released Friends and Relations Wanderers, where he brought us 2 heritages, 2 backgrounds, 2 cultures, associated cultural gear, which is carrying over from Peter Martin's cultural gear articles for Gate Pass Gazette. And a series of generalized knacks that are known as Wanderer knacks. And I like these because they were spinning off the concepts that were introduced by Rachel Williamson, Steampunkette for Gate Pass Gazette, the Minor Magics for Marshals, as well as Martial knacks in her martial artistry release. So kind of moving into less class-specific and more activity or pillar of play specific, which, was really nice because exploration gets ignored a lot of the time. It hurts my ranger-loving heart.
I know. It's my favorite part of the game, too. I get
It is
bored in
fun.
combats, to be honest. I get bored in combat these days. I wait for the combat to end and the more fun stuff to start.
Right.
And Jim's been very notable for putting things out like obscure medicinals and doing other things for traveling knacks. So this kind of goes right up his alley. And the third thing is that there are a couple supplements from this one.
Pasta Parade on,
Thank you.
they have something on Coffee or Ko-Fi or however that website's supposed to be pronounced, but they have a pay what you want collection of professional gear-driven packs. So they're like a minor, think like Dungeoneering pack or an Explorer's pack. These are for a collection. I think there's about 12 of them for different professions that an adventurer could buy for your 25 gold or whatever to start with. You're building your character.
That's a really good idea. I like that idea.
A bit more thematic, yeah.
Where was that? I'm going to go and buy that.
Yeah, Pasta Parade on Ko-fi.com.
Okay.
Which is
right,
ko-fi.com.
Yeah. You're right. They've just got a sale.
They're in all these links will be in the show notes, so you can just get it from there. We'll share that with you. But it's a really nice little collection.
And then we have 2 actual plays that have come to our attention that feature A5E. The first is, I think it's Choose Your Role, that they are following the adventures of Raphael the Human Fighter, Einar the Elf Berserker, Sylvie the Gexy Bard, Lucian the Dragonborn Wizard, and Lowell the Garul Herald, as they journey across the country of Lyon, a French-inspired realm of chivalric knights, towering castles, dangerous political intrigue, and terrifying dragons. After surviving a brutal hag attack on the quiet hamlet of Greenbrook, the party bears a sinister brand placed upon them and must uncover its dark origin and break the curse before it consumes them completely. Airs most Saturdays at 7 p.m. on Twitch, and I thought they had maybe a couple Mondays here and there, if I remember correctly, but Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep, so 7 p.m. Eastern, and AJ from that will be a guest on our show in a couple months. I have him scheduled out for that.
And then second one that I found, or someone recommended, was Dungeons and Randomness. So they are on Arc 6 of their actual play podcast with a 100-year time skip after the events of their previous Arc 5 into the realm of Theria, which is following the adventuring party group Frostborn. As the party traverses and deals with the frosty consequences of previous adventures, they're using Level Up for rules for greater drama, grander adventure, and more thrilling discovery. New episodes release every Monday across all platforms where you find your podcasts, and they're at about 40, probably closer to 50 episodes at this point.
Wow.
And if they are having a hard time trying to catch up, they do have recaps that will condense arcs and help you get to listen to it. 2 actual plays going on. Would
Yep.
love to hear more from you guys.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the Void Runner actual play though. I really want a Void Runner one. Anyone who does that, I'm going to be a guaranteed watcher.
fair enough.
Note to
Let us know.
self.
Let Russ know if there are any more actual plays out there featuring A5E. I know you guys have hosted your own a few in the past as well.
Yeah, we got a few on there, yeah. And also, when we know about them, and we don't always know about them, but if we do know about them, we try and feature them on our website as well, just so people can find them more easily.
Wonderful.
But that involves people usually telling us about them because otherwise we don't know.
Yeah, well, we have a similar problem as well.
Yeah.
So trying to gather everything. So
Yeah.
You have to tell us, people. And now onto our first party roundup. We've got 2 Gate Pass Gazette issues of which to discuss. First is our February issue from issue 48, which adds class features for the Bard, Druid, Herald, and Martial classes, and also, but they're features that add to the social capabilities of those classes. Not that Bards and Heralds need help, but
it's always good to have more options.
Exactly. We'll be there. And then it talks about, we get an article about ley lines. So exploration challenges, variants, how ley lines can impact your stronghold, which was actually really cool.
That's a really cool idea.
That is a super cool idea. I'm kind of like, now I'm like, how do I make it happen?
More stuff with strongholds. I like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Coolest new mechanic that I've seen there.
Oh, you just said 2 things you just said have just sparked something in my mind. You said exploration challenges, then you said strongholds. And now I'm thinking, combining those 2, we haven't got a set of stronghold-based exploration challenges that could happen to your stronghold.
You don't.
Yeah. As one of the data mancers, I get people that I play with, and they're trying, they want to pitch for a Gate Pass Gazette, and they're like, "What's like the most underserved stuff in A5E?" And I'm like, the list right there. It's exploration challenges, which are getting more strongholds, and I'm like, because those are the fun mechanics that need expansion, because everyone can carry over 5e rules if you choose into other stuff, but let's flesh out the cool part. Let's flesh out this cool part.
Well, we in just to go back to Void Runner again. I mean, we made the starships as strongholds, and that really brings the stronghold, because like in a space-based thing, your starship is totally up front and center.
Yeah,
you can't avoid it. So that really brings strongholds into the foreground, into a Void Runners game, which I really enjoy when I'm playing.
I like that book a lot. The Star Captain's Manual.
Designing that, I'd have done that for free. I enjoyed designing it. So, I mean, a lot of other people were involved in it as well. I can't take any credit really, to be honest, but
and then also, as we were talking about how ley lines affect your strongholds, how ley lines impact making magic items, because crafting is a very cool thing. And then we get a legendary monster of titanic proportions, the Pallid Whale. Oh my god, Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Of it all. Oh my god, we were talking about Monty Cook, and I'm like, it's not him.
Wow.
So the Pallid Whale is ready for your table's very own Captain Ahab on the high seas, a monstrous follow-up to the nautical themes of number 47, and a template for minions with that encounter as well. And then a bit of bookkeeping about books on the shelf, where some things are, what do you find in the library? So roll tables on books you find when you're searching the library. One day I'm going to make one of those myself, and it's the Adventures of Larry the Kobold that are going to be in the entire library, just all of them. All books, Larry the Kobold. But some of these books could surprise you. There's a book mimic in the article as well. And then that kind of rounds up 48. Issue 49, where it brings us more exploration, more magic items, a new organization and archetypes. The ocean is dark, deep, and full of terrors. 5 new exploration challenges for the darkest depths of the ocean, ranging from what can best be described as the garbage patch of the Pacific, but make it D&D, and the crushing pressure of nitrogen narcosis. Seriously, okay, who at Cape Gazette has read my diary where all I want in this world is more ocean challenges? Because thank you. 2026 has been all oceans for me. I love you. So
just
then
talking about how everybody ignores the bends.
Yes, and how it's written. Yeah, we were, because I was reading this and I was like, no one rates the bends properly. We're just it.
You want
It's
Ben's
actually
rules?
did a
I
good-
don't know. It's-
I will say, from what I was understanding, these exploration challenges and dangers were pretty darn good for someone who I hope has never experienced the bends or nitrogen narcosis. Another article was items for the classes. So we all know instruments of the bards, and or any item that says they must be attuned to by a character of a certain class. So what Mark Kenobi brought to this month's issue is a set of magic items that technically any class can wield, but they're better served in the hands of your bard, your sorcerer, your druid. Yeah, so about there. So again, charisma casters get all the fun. I get it. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not salty. But speaking of druids, did someone say more druids? Because Mike Myler struck again with an article introducing us to an order of druids within LSR lore. They can fit in your home games as the Circle of Tribute. So a bit of a barrier faction between the wilds and civilization. And also we get some lore and holy days for LSR. So we started getting a little development. Obviously, we would love more. So thank you, Mike, for that. And then the final article of number 49 was about basically a real game of a legally distinct courtly drama, where we get archetypes for the herald, the warlock, and the marshal set around courtly intrigue, much more social than combat related. Where I think one of the martial features was the pen is mightier than the sword, or something of that ilk. More on that sort of thing. So the Ancestral Knight, in particular, Herald, is designed to play against the lawful Boy Scout kind of stereotype image of the Herald. So a nice rounding out of articles and kind of bringing a play against type situation for some of these classes. And then
we're in
following,
the mid-40s on Gate Pass Gazette.
I
So
know.
many issues.
Let's say we're getting to 50.
The
Yeah,
next one will
wow.
be 50, right? Yep, next one will be
Yeah.
Yep.
You need to like emboss it when you print it out. Just make it nice golden.
Yeah, yeah.
Gold themed. Then speaking of Gate Pass Gazette, talking about the 2025 annual that has been mostly fulfilled in terms of digitally. Finished on BackerKit with nearly 470 backers and earned about £22,000 or $30,000 for us Americans. As always, the PDFs went out right away, and the print copies are due to be shipped out, I think, like in April, and through May is when fulfillment's supposed to be over. Who knows postal services?
I'd have to check
but
with Jess, but that sounds about right.
yeah, postal services and all that. So hopefully by May or June, everyone will get their copies. And so this was our collection of issues from 35 to 46. And it was the year of expansion for pretty much what there's the mechanics I love, which are exploration and strongholds. But what I think is one of A5E's best features are class snacks and tree features, where you can choose multiple features for the same, like between rugged defense and the juggernaut for berserker. So you can have options to diversify your character build.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite features.
Every level there's a choice to be made.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it stand out, and it was a lot of articles that started featuring that edition. And then Pets and Sidekicks went out on Drive-Thru RPG, and I had my physical copy. It was very exciting. I got a book. I love getting books.
What's your favorite monster? What's your favorite pet or sidekick?
My favorite pet. I'm running with a heroic companion of a Mastiff in a game. Flavored him as a Saint Bernard. So he's got and I'm running a jovial cleric from Plant Witch Press. So they're all about alcohol. So he's got a little whiskey barrel around his neck of healing potions. And he runs around and he sits on down characters while they're prone and let them get the healing potion.
Excellent.
He is the best boy. I love him. I love the whole heroic companions idea. I do wish Beastmaster was able to like really play with it a little more, but
yeah, I'm all about the dogs as well, definitely.
Yeah, that is the sad thing. There's not enough dogs and dog canids in D&D in general.
there should be more dogs. There should be a stat block for every breed of dog.
Every
Yeah, listen, I'm a dog and a bear supremacist, so if I was good at designing monsters, that would be me. So yep, that should be in everyone's hands. And then I believe that is it.
Okay, so preview for the next episode, we will have Jessie Mullins from Plant Witch Press. She will be our first ever returning guest to talk about her next Cottagecore A5E book.
There's gonna be horror mixed in there somewhere. I'm just waiting for it.
It's always cozy and then struck through with horror.
Terrifying.
I just needed to burst out.
That is her specialty. Any parting thoughts? Your final question?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Now that we have Russ here, and
So I always like to hear what somebody's favorite character that they've ever played, or that maybe you'd like to build and play.
Doesn't even have to be A5E, but because I'm sure I don't know how much A5E you get a chance to even play, Russ. But
I'm playing in a game at the moment, a Thursday night game, which has been running for the last 2 years now. It's set in Greyhawk.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah. So I'm playing. My character at the moment is a really snooty elf, multi-classed rogue sorcerer.
Okay.
Who dresses in fancy clothes, is really snooty, doesn't really like any of this adventuring stuff because he gets dirty and he has to make an effort, and it means getting up early and all this sort of stuff. And he's just like looks with disdain around. And the rest of the party, for some reason, are all small folk. They're either dwarves or halflings. All of them. Not deliberately. That's just how it worked out. So it's basically a bunch of them and me. As the elf, so I just like look down on them, look down my nose on them the whole time.
Care to share the archetypes?
Oh yeah.
What archetypes? So he went with the on the rogue side. He hasn't got one on the sorcerer side yet. He's only first level or second level sorcerer. Okay. Rogue side, it was the what's the cutter one? The one that's all about the daggers. I'm forgetting his name.
Isn't it Cutthroat? Is it Cutthroat? I thought it was recent. No. It'll come to me like 2 years.
I can't remember
later.
Yeah. But yeah, he's all about the sneak attack basically, and doing a lot of damage with a dagger.
Yeah. Allie is a frequent rogue player.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've had a really good time. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'll come back on anytime you want. I had a really good time.
I was just about to extend that invitation. So welcome to come on anytime you want to plug something or just to chat. So
just to chat, yeah.
So all of the show notes and will contain all the links to any of the products and books that we have referenced, including any social media follows or places to find us. Online, I'm sure Russ, you can always be found at EN World.
Yeah. I've been known to haunt that place.
Yeah, I'm sure. So this has been A5Evening. Crack a book.
Roll some dice.
Have a blast.
See ya.
Thank you.
Have a good day.